asked Mina. 4 days have passed since Paisley moved in with Luca and Mina. The three got along well, and Mina has named Paisley her sister, who she never had. That's right, Mina answered with a smile. The two girls were lounging in Paisley's new room. The room was big, with a king-sized bed in the middle. Her walls were a dark shade of purple. Her bedsheets matched the walls. There was a big black vanity in one corner and a desk in the other. Her window was overlooking the street. Her dresser was full of new clothes that Mina and Luca bought her, much to her protest. But her most favorite part of her whole room would have to be the collection of various panda plushies. She adored pandas. What kind of gifts did you get? Paisley asked. Well, I have the ability to manipulate men, Mina answered, avoiding eye contact. Paisley tilted her head to the side in confusion. They heard the front door bang shut, and Luca stomped past Paisley's room, towards his. The girls looked at each other and nodded. They both went to Luca's room, not bothering to knock, and entered. Luca looked up from the drawer he was standing at. He was standing there in his underwear, looking at them weirdly. Paisley quickly covered her eyes with her hands, making Mina laugh. Sorry, she said, blushing. Luca's mood brightened up immediately as he saw the small brunette in his room. He went over to her and removed her hands from her eyes. He crouched down so she didn't have a way of avoiding to look at him. Don't shy away from me. I have nothing to hide. He leaned up to her. Stop teasing her, Luca, Mina said, pushing Luca on the floor. He grunted and lazily got up to find a pair of sweats. He pulled out some old baggy gray sweats and pulled them on. How are you feeling? Luca asked, sitting down on his bed. Fine. I can eat normally, the pain is gone, and I can walk without grunting the whole time, she said, taking the vacant seat next to him. Paisley became more friendly and got used to Luca's teasing. Mina sat down on one of the many beanbags laying around the room. That's good to hear, said. Maybe she can start school next week. Mina gave them a smile. There was a moment of silence before Paisley broke it. I was wondering, she started, glancing at each of them, making sure they were listening. And surely they were. What kind of gift do you have? Mina and Luca exchanged glances. I told you, I have the ability to manipulate men, Mina said. Paisley nodded, not really understanding. I drive people to lust for bad things, Luca said. Paisley was now totally confused. Luca chuckled and cupped her face, slowly stroking her soft cheek. Baby doll, you are so innocent. His eyes softened. For some reason, Paisley made him feel at ease. She made him feel loved. She made him feel like a human. My sweet little baby doll Mina is a succubus, while I am Asmodeus, one of the 7 kings of hell, said. Paisley's eyes widened. She knew what a succubus was, and she knew a little bit about the 7 kings of hell. Hell, she even tried to summon a succubus once to scare Eugene while they were friends. Luca looked at her. Are you scared, Jane? No. How can I be scared of people that showed me more affection than my own mother? Plus, you're taking care of me like I'm your family member. She looked at them, and Mina had tears in her eyes. No one's ever been this kind towards me, Paisley added, looking down. Mina let her tears surface as she hugged the small brunette. Luca did the same and enveloped both girls in a hug. I might have known you guys a few days, but I love you guys, she whispered. The two tightened their grip on her. It was the first time ever that someone told them they loved them and meant it. Paisley awoke to a cold hardness pressed to her back. She blinked the sleep from her eyes and stood up from the cold stone floor she was laying on. She took in her surroundings. She was in a stone hallway. She started walking in a random direction. She came face to face with a pair of double doors. She gulped and peeked in a little. She could only see a bed in there. She let her curious side take over her and went inside the room. She closed the door and went over to the bed. There was one window that showed it was night out. Paisley's eye caught something shining on the unnoticeable bedside table. She went over and picked up a small blue stone covered in gold. That's a moonstone, my dear. Paisley jumped to the side when a voice came from the other side of the room. She saw Lucifer standing there, shirtless, smirking. His hair was damp from water, and Paisley thought he just came out the shower. Pretty, she said, eyeing him. Lucifer raised an eyebrow, which made Paisley blush. The stone is pretty. She quickly added, Did you just come out of the shower? Yes, said. Paisley giggled. Sorry. It's just weird to imagine the devil taking a shower. Lucifer half smiled and moved towards her. Do you like the stone? He asked, leaning in, so their faces were only inches apart. Yes, she said. Lucifer took the stone from her hand and turned the small girl around so her back was facing him. He conjured up a leather belt and attached the stone to it. He then placed the cold leather material around Paisley's slim neck. He turned her around and led her to the blank wall. He made a mirror appear, and Paisley gasped at the beautiful choker around her neck. Wow. It matches your gown perfectly, my dear, Lucifer said, moving her hair and placing a burning yet tender kiss on her shoulder, making her blush a crimson red color. He was right. The moonstone matched the beautiful dark blue strapless nightgown. The mirror disappeared and Lucifer moved away. He sat down on his bed and motioned for Paisley to sit beside him. She obediently sat down and he pulled her down to lay her head in his lap. Do you like your guardians? He asked, stroking her hair. Yes, very much, she replied. I know what they are. I know Mina is a succubus and Luca is Asmodeus. Lucifer continued to stroke her hair, bringing his fingers down to her neck. They left a light trace of fire, which Paisley didn't feel. What kind of demon am I? Paisley asked, enjoying the feel of his fingers on her neck. She was meaning to ask him that for a while now, but he didn't come to visit her or anything. Not even Drackle dropped by. Lucifer leaned his head down to her ear and slightly brushed his lips against her ear. Paisley let out a soft moan of pleasure, making Lucifer smile. You'll find out soon, my dear. Paisley's eyes closed as she drifted off to sleep. Chapter 7. Paisley. Luca brushed the sleeping girl's hair out of her face. Jim. The girl grunted. Paisley was sprawled out on her bed. Paisley, baby doll, wake up. Luca poked her soft cheek. 5 more minutes. She grunted, turning around. Luca's eye caught Paisley's new accessory and he growled. He climbed on the bed, towering over the little girl. Paisley, get up or I'll bite your ear, he whispered softly. She grunted. Luca smiled to himself and nibbled on her ear. Paisley let out a moan and quickly opened her eyes. Luca stopped and looked at Paisley with a mischievous grin. Paisley quickly covered her head with a nearby pillow. Did you just? Luca asked, amused. Please pretend that you didn't hear that, she squeaked under the pillow. Luca only chuckled at her. Mina said to give these to you so you can change. She'll come to give you a makeover in a few minutes, said. Paisley removed the pillow and saw a pile of neatly folded clothes on the vanity chair. Luca leaned into her again. See you later, baby doll, he whispered, kissing her earlobe. Ja. Mina, why am I wearing this? Paisley asked the white-haired girl, who was currently curling her hair. We're going to a party, she exclaimed, excited. But do I really have to wear this? Paisley asked, looking down at the beautiful Sabrina mini dress that Mina let her borrow. After Luca left her room, Mina barged in with a curler and makeup kit. She did Paisley's makeup simple, but sexy. What kind of party are we going to anyway? We're going to the underworld. You're kidding? That's like the hottest club in town. But how did you get us in there? Not everyone can get in. Thank Luca for that. He knows the owner, Mina said, putting the curler down. We just have to add this, and your perfect witchy style is done. Mina added a black wide brim hat on Paisley's head. Paisley looked in the mirror and blushed. She always wanted to wear this kind of style, but was too insecure to even try it out. Mina pulled out some knee-high black socks and black leather heels, with studs on the heel itself. I'll kill myself in those, Paisley blurted out. That's why Luca will be by your side as support. Mina winked. Paisley sighed and put on the socks and heels. She took a deep breath and turned towards Mina. She admired her friend that was wearing a huntress dress with similar heels to hers, while her hair was beautifully styled in her signature pigtails and the same kind of hat as Paisley's. Both of them gave of that perfect and creepy witchy feel. Why are we dressed like this anyways? Paisley asked. Because the underworld has a dress code. You'll see once we get there, Mina said. The girls went for the door, but Mina stopped to ask Paisley a question she was holding in these few hours that they were getting ready. Paisley, where did you get that choker? Lucifer gave it to me. Mina nodded and went ahead thinking. Luca waited by the door wearing a pair of jeans, black V-neck shirt and boots, keeping his hair down. He looked at the girls and his breath hitched at the sight of Paisley. She was breathtaking. She walked over and smiled at him, making him blush. "Why, you look beautiful, baby doll," Luca stuttered. Paisley blushed madly. She couldn't hide behind her hair, because Mina made sure her face was seen. Luca extended his hands towards the girls, who gladly took them. "Let's go, witches," he said, leading them out. The underworld was located a block away from the three demons' house. They walked there so Paisley could get used to her heels. There was a long line stretching all the way to the end of the street. Luca and Mina didn't stop at the end. They continued along with Paisley. The people in line eyed them, and Paisley could recognize some of her classmates and acquaintances. "Hey, Bran." Luca did a fist bump with the bouncer, who smiled cheekily towards the girls. "Mina, you're looking creepy as always," said. "Thank you." Mina did a curt bow. "And who might this lovely witch be?" He looked at Paisley. "Paisley," she answered shyly. "Well, Paisley, welcome to the underworld. We hope you'll enjoy your stay," Bran said politely, letting the three in. As soon as they entered, Paisley was struck with a really interesting sight. The underworld was no ordinary club. Sure, it was dark inside and the music was blasting, but the people inside were dressed like goths. Girls were wearing beautiful corsets, and Paisley was stunned by their makeup. She saw a few girls drinking around a man who smiled at Paisley, showing a nice set of fangs. Luca pulled Paisley through a door that was covered in dark purple and black curtains. Paisley caught herself walking into a very weird place. Half-naked girls were walking around, either on a leash or chained to the walls, being whipped by really pale men. Paisley clutched Luca's shirt when the men turned towards her and gave her a smile. He looked at the men, and they quickly turned around. Luca continued walking up a flight of stairs. "Vlad, my old friend," Luca said, making his way over to a brown-haired man. Paisley was behind him, with Mina, taking in the man's features. He was pale as a wall with deep brown eyes. His smile was showing off his fangs. Paisley shied away from the man's look. For some reason, she was feeling really shy around these people. The room they were in looked like a picture. All the furniture was Victorian. There were half-dead humans in one corner and a really disturbing owl in the other. "Luca, Mina." The man had a clear Russian accent. He walked over to them and hugged them both. He exchanged a handshake with Luca and a very passionate kiss with Mina. His eyes landed on Paisley and her choker. Vlad's eyes turned red. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, princess," he said, taking Paisley's hand in his and leaving a cold kiss on top. He led her over to a chair that resembled Lucifer's throne. Luca went over as well, sitting down and pulling Paisley in his lap. "Princess, I would like for you to meet my sisters, Masha and Svetlana." Vlad pointed out the two blondes in the darkness. Paisley's arms went limp when her eyes landed on Svetlana and the boy she was making out with. Her heart sank and she felt pain in her chest, for the boy that was exchanging his saliva with a vampire was Igor. Chapter 8. Paisley's eyes changed their color to a deep red, which Mina saw. Masha stood up from her seat and went over to Paisley. She kneeled before her and kissed the top of her hand, like Vlad did. "It is an honor to be in your presence, princess," Masha said, meeting Paisley's burning red gaze. Paisley was now sure that Vlad's family were Russians. They both had a clear and defined accent. And Svetlana, Vlad's voice broke their kissing game. "Show respect." Svetlana dully looked over. Igor's face followed and his eyes widened at Paisley. He stood up, pushing Svetlana off of him. "What are you doing here?" he asked, walking over to the brunette. Paisley didn't answer. She just stared at Svetlana. Igor caught Paisley's wrist but quickly let go. Her skin burned him. Paisley looked up at him, meeting his eyes. Igor was watching the most bloodthirsty eyes in his life. Her gaze went back to a very angry Svetlana. "What's the deal, Igor?" she asked. "Svetlana, show respect to your princess," Vlad yelled. "Why should I? This little girl is nothing compared to me," Svetlana yelled back. The whole room went silent, even the vampires in the other room. Luca moved to get up, but Paisley stopped him. "Kneel," Paisley simply said. Svetlana smiled up at her. No. Vlad was filled with rage. Paisley narrowed her eyes towards the blonde girl in front of her. Her short, dark blue dress barely covered her ass and boobs. Paisley always wondered what girls get by showing off their cleavage. It was her pride and joy to make fun of girls like this. Kneel. Svetlana's body moved by itself and she kneeled down. Paisley stood up and went over to the struggling blonde. Mina saw something in Paisley's stance. She was more confident and daring. Paisley was changing, for Lucifer's sake. She just didn't know it yet. Paisley stopped right in front of the vampire and smoothly ran her finger down her arm, making it burn with a passion, leaving rotted skin there. Svetlana screamed for her life. Next time, make it easy and just kneel, Paisley said. She then turned towards Igor and smiled sweetly. One of the vampires in the room took him by the arm and led him out. Luca, why did you really bring me here? Paisley asked sternly. For some reason, Luca felt really embarrassed by her words. I wanted you to meet Vlad, because he can help you with your revenge plan, he said, patting his lap. Oh, and how can Vlad help me? Paisley made her way back to Luca's comforting embrace. She put both of her legs over his and her arms around his neck. Luca gulped. Well, Vlad owns half of the city. He can get your victims alone. Luca was feeling very dizzy from Paisley's heated red gaze. That's interesting to know, she said, smirking. Mina looked over at Svetlana, who passed out from the pain. She then looked back at Luca and caught his gaze drifting. She saw lust in his eyes and sighed. That earned Luca's attention, to which she just glared at him. He knew they needed to talk. Now, job has. Luca, we need to set the plan in motion. Mina whispered. I know, Luca answered. The two were standing in a darker corner of the room, watching Paisley closely and having a heated conversation. She's adapting to her powers pretty fast. Soon she'll be stronger and harder to handle. She'll be like... Mina looked over at Masha and Paisley. They were having a much more interesting time as Masha showed Paisley different ways to torture a human. She'll be like His Highness. I know, but I'm afraid we can't stop it anymore, Mina. Luca sighed. Then what do? We can't just wait for her damn horns to grow out. Mina whisper screamed at Luca. What am I supposed to do, Mina? We are just guardians. We are here to protect her, not lock her up in a basement. He snapped back at the green-eyed girl. They both sighed and looked over at Paisley. She was slowly changing for the better, but that did not mean hardships wouldn't await her. In fact, one was already here, and he was very worried for his little metalhead. Dement, you sish. Igor was stunned by the sight of his little socially awkward metalhead making a vampire scream for her life. He hid behind a tree and growled. His whole body shook and his bones snapped. His clothes got shredded as a huge midnight black wolf stood there. The wolf had dark purple eyes, which was unusual for a werewolf. He ran in the direction of his pack house. He ran inside, facing 4 other men in the living room. Igor went upstairs to his bedroom and shifted back to human form. He pulled out a pair of boxers and sweats and put them on. His heart ached at the sight of the picture frame on his nightstand. In that black frame stood a picture of him and Paisley from 4 years back. It was the day they met. He smiled at it and went downstairs to his pack members. Igor, what's wrong? A man with stunning deep blue eyes asked. We have a problem, Igor croaked sadly. We know. The siren informed us before it went into the club. Another man with blonde hair and a British accent said. For fuck's sake, Andrew. Her name is Diana. Let me spell it out for you. D-I-A-N-A, Diana. A man with dark skin yelled at Andrew. Oh, shut it, Bogdan. Andrew yelled back while Bogdan huffed. That's enough, boys. Now, Igor, did you find out something? The blue-eyed man said. Sort of. The vamp chick only told me their princess is coming, and that I shouldn't pay attention to her. She said she was chosen by the devil himself. Igor said, taking a seat next to Bogdan on the couch. Chosen for what? Andrew quirked his brow. I don't know, Igor shrugged. What are we supposed to do now, Alpha Oliver? Bogdan asked. The blue-eyed man sighed and shook his head. For now, we wait. He answered simply. Wait for what? Andrew asked. We wait for our beta to come home. And then we shall decide what to do. Oliver said. The 3 boys nodded. Igor purposely left out the part that this supposed princess was Paisley, the girl he liked and thought was his mate. He did not expect Paisley to be so confident and daring. He was really worried for her and decided in his head that he will find out what's going on and stop it. Chapter 9. Paisley walked towards the big entrance slowly. She didn't want to go to school, but Luca threatened to nibble her ear again. Students outside the school stared at her like that creepy owl in Vlad's club. Word had got out that she was attacked, and it made Paisley pretty popular, but in this case, it would probably be because of her dress code. Paisley? She heard someone yell her name. She turned around, only to be engulfed into a bear hug by Den. I missed you so much. Wow, aren't you cold in those clothes? Den practically screamed in Paisley's ear. Den continued to stare at Paisley's clothes. Paisley was wearing a pair of black shorts with over-the-knee black socks and dark red Doc Martens, followed by a black tank with the ACC's logo in red and black leather jacket. It might have been the middle of November, but Paisley was dying from heat. Come on, let's go, Den said, dragging Paisley with her. They passed the many classrooms until they made it to theirs. As soon as Paisley stepped in, she was swarmed with questions and hugs. Every question was answered with a short yes or no. Natalie soon came inside, followed by their history professor. Miss Kennedy, nice of you to join us, Mrs. Jenkins said. Paisley just nodded from her seat. This was going to be a long day indeed. So, how's it going with Luca? Den wiggled her eyebrows at Paisley. The girls were at their favorite cafe having some coffee. They took their usual table by the window. Good. Why? She asked, confused. Luca and the girls met at the hospital when he came to visit her the second time. No reason, Den sighed. Anyways, Natalie and Brant are together. Really? That's so sweet. You look so cute together, Paisley said. Yeah, Natalie shied away. Paisley? Den called her. Paisley turned around towards her, giving Den her full attention. Den pointed to the window and Paisley glanced at it. A flock of boys were standing there and watching her like hawks. Paisley's eyes widened at the sight. There were at least 20 boys from the nearby schools. When did you become so popular? Natalie asked. I have no idea, Paisley answered. Guys, I've been meaning to ask, what happened to Charlotte? Nothing. We filed a report against her, but Stefan bailed her out somehow. Natalie answered, shrugging. Paisley's jaw clenched. She was so pissed that the coffee in her hand started boiling. The two girls didn't notice Paisley's little outburst. They were occupied with the boys at the window. The door to the cafe opened and a blonde-haired girl walked in. She was wearing a white, long-sleeved blouse with a blue skirt and matching heels. She was wearing a long gray coat over it all. The girl stopped before the three teen girls' table. Paisley looked up at the blonde and smiled. Hey, Masha, she said. Take a seat. Masha took the vacant seat by Paisley and made herself comfortable. She turned towards Den and Natalie. Hello, my name is Masha. It is a pleasure to meet you. Hi, I'm Natalie and this is Catherine, but feel free to call her Den, Natalie said, smiling. The flock of boys grew bigger every second. Masha found it amusing how Paisley's hormones attracted males for miles. A few boys went in, followed by a few girls. They were probably on a date, but the boys knocked over some glass decorations from the counter as they saw Paisley. They kept staring at the brunette, while the girls yelled at them. Paisley excused herself to the ladies' room. She went in to freshen up, but got a quick text from Den saying that Eugene and Faith are here, and they're headed her way. Paisley quickly went into one of the cubicles. She heard Eugene's skanky voice before she even entered. God, those freaks found another one, she said. Who cares, Eugene? Paisley almost died because of us. Isn't that enough? Faith asked. Jing? No. She deserves more pain than that for what she's done to us. Now drop the whore's name already. What are you wearing for Stefan's party? Eugene asked, excited. Paisley clenched her fist, but her eyes turned red. She was tempted to go out there and rip Eugene apart limb by limb. I don't know. I guess jeans and a shirt. Faith answered, sighing. Oh, that can't do. I'll find something for you until Friday, Eugene said. Paisley snickered and pulled the toilet. She then casually walked out and washed her hands. She stepped out the bathroom, leaving a frightened Eugene and Faith behind. Den gave Paisley a thumbs up. Paisley sat down at the table and flashed a breathtaking smile towards her admirers. They fainted on the spot, making the girls laugh so hard they had to hold their stomach. The girls made plans to go to a bar this Saturday, because one of Paisley's friends had a gig there. They said their goodbyes and went their separate ways. Masha and Paisley slowly headed to Paisley's house, avoiding crowded places and talking about what should they wear for Friday. This Friday? This Friday. Mina asked. She joined Masha and Paisley in their quest to play Craven Manor. The girls were staring blankly at the computer screen, waiting for it to load. Yeah, it's Stefan's stupid early Christmas party, or as I like to call it, get laid party, Paisley said. The game finally loaded and she started playing, Masha and Mina closely watching from their seats. But how are you gonna get in? Mina asked. A friend who's going told me he's holding the party at the Underworld this year. And we all know they're screwed there, Paisley said, smiling from ear to ear. So, we're going. It's just a small step closer to Charlotte. Her eyes switched color. Mina smirked. Paisley really was suited for her powers. Mina was glad she was her guardian and not that siren slut. Well, looks like we're going to crash a party, Mina said, smirking. Masha, you're in on the fun, right? Paisley turned towards her blonde friend. Of course. Masha smiled sweetly. Paisley loved her accent a lot. It showed how much Masha didn't want to forget her mother language. Paisley, I'm choosing the outfits for all three of us, Mina stated proudly. Sure, Paisley answered. Oh, they were so crashing this party. Chapter 10, Violet. Drackle nudged Paisley. She opened her eyes and met a beautiful pair of red ones. She smiled at him as he stroked her hair gently. Did you have fun at Vlad's? His voice sent shivers down her spine. Yeah, she whispered. Lucifer leaned in and brushed his burning lips over her forehead. Are you adapting to your powers properly? He asked. I don't know. I only feel a burning sensation running through my body, she replied. Lucifer chuckled at her reply. The small brunette blushed as she took in her position. They were in a different room of his castle that had a desk and two huge bookshelves around it. She was lying in Lucifer's lap on a purple, almost black Victorian sofa. Every time she'd come to Lucifer's castle, it would be night, and everything would be beautifully covered by darkness. It was an old castle full of Victorian furniture and gorgeous rose flowers covered the walls. Paisley never felt like she was in hell. I see that you've learned to channel your heat to your liking, Lucifer said. If you're talking about Svetlana, I got jealous of her and Igor, Paisley said, averting her gaze. Gee, Igor? Yes? Igor Hagens, Paisley answered, looking up at Lucifer. My dear, let me show you something, Lucifer said, motioning for Paisley to stand up. Paisley stood up and followed Lucifer to a room with a big fountain. In the center was a beautiful statue of a mermaid that was holding up a heart. Her breasts were barley covered with her hair, and her tail had 7 small red ruby stones covering it. The water in the fountain was red. It looked like blood. Those are siren tears, Lucifer said from behind Paisley. Paisley nodded, not finding her words. She could feel the heat from his body. He was welcoming her. Ostende mihi lupum puer. An, show me the wolf boy, 11 Paisley. Watched as the liquid stir and an image was slowly showing itself. Paisley was now watching a half-naked Igor, in the middle of winter, standing in his backyard with 3 other guys. Paisley silently studied the other 3 boys. A tall, built muscle man was standing in front of Igor, his piercing blue eyes never leaving his and showing authority and determination. Behind Igor stood a dark-skinned boy. Paisley could tell he was older than her, but younger than Igor. His golden eyes indicated he was not human. Paisley's eyes fell on a blonde on Igor's right side. He had his nose pierced and silver eyes. He was standing there annoyed by whatever they were doing, but amused Paisley. In one moment, the golden-eyed boy charged at Igor and shifted into a huge woodsy brown wolf. Paisley gripped the edge of the fountain and watched intensely. The wolf charged at Igor, who easily dodged him. But what knocked some sense in Paisley was Igor's shift into a midnight black wolf. Now Paisley understood why Igor was so bipolar with her, why he was always so secretive, and why he never let her near his house. Lucifer put his head in the crock of her neck, taking in her scent. Your friend has been keeping secrets from you. Is this why he never let me get too near? She asked, holding in her tears. That's right. He was afraid that one of them might mark you before. He does. Idiot Igor. Paisley broke the edge of the fountain as her eyes turned to the beautiful blazing red color. She tended to show in anger. How long was he keeping this from me? She asked, taking deep breaths. 4 years. Paisley was beyond pissed. She watched the 4 wolves battle. She put her finger on Igor's wolf and dipped it in the red liquid. Lucifer smiled at the girl. She was learning on her own and followed her instincts. A black lightning bolt stroked from the sky and hit the nearest tree. The tree lit on fire, and the wolves shifted back to human form. They rushed around for some pants, and the three unknown men ran inside for the fire extinguisher. Igor stood there, frozen, fear evident on his face, for he saw a figure in the fire. Her eyes were cold and filled with hurt. Igor knew that Paisley was watching him. He knew she had found out about his secret and that she hated him for it. "What's wrong, my dear?" Lucifer asked. Paisley blankly looked at the water. She ran her hand over the surface of the red liquid, and the picture disappeared.